Hey, Darkman here, and welcome to my review of Bleach Chapter 636. So it starts off right where it left off last time, and where Mayuri stabbed Kenpachi and paralyzed him. And he told him that he did it for his own good and not to look at him with such resentful eyes. And he notices that Kenpachi's eyes are still moving, and he says, "You truly are a monster," or "I'm impressed that you are able to still move your eyes," which is Kenpachi, he's obviously a monster. And he says he still has improvements to make on, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. I know what it is, I just can't pronounce it. And Yumachika essentially just says oh, well, some things never change. And Nemu's essentially like, no, like, and she says ain't that right, Nemu, something along that. She says yes, and that's the way she wishes it to be. He asks her what it means, and she says nothing, really. And then we get the title page, which is Baby Hold Your Hand. And so on this page we get a picture of Perndina. And I've meant to mention this before, but when Perndina's under the hood, it kind of reminds me of how a Heartless from Kingdom Hearts looks. And then Mayuri just goes on a spiel of great sacrifices, and that how Perndina should sacrifice his body for scientific purposes. And Perndina sort of goes crazy after he says this, and the cloak starts tearing off, and then we finally get to see what he looks like, and he looks like, if you saw that coming, you were either drunk or psychic. Because or you're just really lucky. Because if you guessed a giant hand that could walk around with two eyes, or really one with two pupils, that sort of looks like the almighty power, then I don't know. That's just weird and not what I expected. Mayuri says that it's the left arm of the Soul King, if he isn't mistaken. And it sort of starts to grow. And when a character's supposed to be intimidated by something ginormous, say the Titans from Attack on Titan, there's usually a shadow over their face or whatever, or that's being cast down by it. He's sort of doing that in this panel, but it's just it's not very intimidating just because it's just a hand and an arm. And so Mayuri sort of goes over the similarities between the left arm and the right arm. I mean, he even comments about the single eye, the single grotesque eye that Uehara mentioned. But he says single eye, that's sort of an opinionated guess or whatever, so your own opinion, because it has one eyeball but two pupils. And so he uses his the nerve ability, sends it at him, and he pulls out an umbrella with a face on it, and it shows the nerve power hitting the umbrella, and you see screaming, which I don't know if that was Perndina or the umbrella. But then it shows Mayuri talking about why the left arm of the Soul King would be inferior to Yuha, or think it's inferior to Yuha. And he says, I guess it doesn't really matter because of this euphoria. And Perndina sort of just says euphoria, really slow and stuff. He's and he sort of doesn't care anymore because he's just getting super happy, he's thinking to himself while yelling to himself what organs do you use to speak, that kind of stuff. And he kind of just sort of start taking this seriously. Why are you getting so happy? He says the reason he's gotten happy is because he discovered a unique organism never. And if that isn't true happiness, then he doesn't know what is. And then Perndina sort of shoots out a ton of the nerve stuff. So he says, yes, come at me at full power, or left arm of the Soul King. And he says, left arm, not name, Perndina. And that is the end of the chapter. And I just had a couple questions about him being the left arm. One, could the right arm do the whole thing where he like walks around and stuff and turns into like the hand monster thing? Two, it sort of looked like he had the almighty power. I'm just like wondering if it was or wasn't. Three, why is it working for Yuha? He's just like, it doesn't make any sense why it would work for Yuha. And another one, oh, here it was. In one of the chapters, I think it was like the first chapter he was in, it showed that Ferdinand had a hand under the cloak. Oh, so can he like grow like little arms out of himself? And there were a couple more. They're just slipping my mind right now. So if I think of them again, I'll probably just like make a separate video for that stuff. Okay, we'll see you next time.